Director. Thank you for joining us. I know we're a couple minutes behind. Sorry about that. We are in the Andre kitchen right now. Just a quick piece of housekeeping information. Today at 1, Chloe was going to play the violin on the chapel channel. She's not in today, so we will be having a violin concert on the channel you're watching now. So tune in to this channel at 1. Don't turn to the chapel channel. So the other thing I wanted to mention is we are giving you a phone number. So if you have a question while Sal and Tanner are cooking, we would love for you to call in and ask us that question, or just tell us what a great job Sal and Tanner are doing. Whatever it may be, we want to hear from you. So if you'd like to call in after the gentlemen start cooking, that phone number is 251-3680. I'll give you that number again. 251-3680. If you live in Andre or just Andre, you can also dial extension 4024. Again, that number one last time, 251-3680. And without further ado, I'm going to turn it over to Chef Sal and Tanner.
Hi everyone, Chef Tanner back again this week. We are going to make a shrimp bisque that all of you will be able to enjoy for dinner this evening. As always, to accompany me is Chef Sal. He's going to help me out, my behind the scenes stuff. Couldn't do it without him, so I want to tell him thank you. And we're going to go ahead and get started. This recipe is a fairly easy recipe. There's not a lot of prep time, but it's still a very good, very rich, very flavorful dish. So this is an easy one you can do at home. We're going to start by making sure our hands are clean. We're going to glove up, stay sanitary. And to start this process off, we are going to begin with our vegetables. Now we're going to start with carrots and celery as the base of our soup. We're looking for a brunoise cut here. A brunoise cut is, brunoise is another French culinary term. It's a very, very, very small dice. So I'm going to show you how to brunoise to start out. We got our whole carrot here, unpeeled. We're going to cut the end off, the root end off. And then we're going to take about 2 inches of carrot. We're going to cut it there. We're going to cut it every 2 inches. So you can use that top piece to match your next 2 inches. We are looking for uniformity in size, and that's why we're measuring each one. We're making sure each one is about the same size. That's going to help us later on in the dish to help everything else cook evenly. So we have our 2-inch sections here. We have 3 of them from that carrot, which should be plenty. From that point, we're going to take our round. You see how this is round? We're going to square this off. So we're going to take one side. We're going to flatten that side off. Your flat side goes down. We're going to square the next side off. Flat side down again. Square that off. And one last one. So now we have a square, flat piece. We're going to make sure it's pretty even all the way around. Now these pieces, extra pieces, we can save for stocks. We save, we toss them in stocks, give them a little bit more flavor. So everything gets used here. All right, we now have our square piece of carrot, which I'm going to go ahead and quickly square these other 2 off, just like we did the first one. So we have our flat side down. And we're just rotating it all the way over to make a nice little square. And that's our peeled, squared off carrot. One more. And there we have it, one more little square. From this step, we are going to cut about 1/8 of an inch slice off of this square. So you got to measure, look about 1/8 of an inch, get your knife set up so so it's a nice even cut and straight down. You're going to have a piece that looks like a long rectangle, about 1/8 of an inch thick. Okay, we're going to continue to do this until this block is gone. So another one, there's another, and one final one here. So we've got a bunch of these nice little flat pieces. They almost look like cars. They're really thin, they're really flat, it's a long rectangle. This is getting us down to our brunoise cut. Okay, we're about 3/4 of the way there. So I'm going to go ahead and finish these other two off the same way I did the first one. About 1/8 of an inch in thickness. And cut, 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 cut. Last one. And one more. All right. Now we've got all of our squares cut up into these little planks. From here we are going to make another cut. We want to make sure when you have all your planks together, they're all uniform in size. Again, you can see each one of these is about the same width. And we measured the length when we cut them, so they're all about the same length as well. This is going to, again, help for even cooking when we are cooking our soup. All right, from this step, we're going to cut them down again. So you can take a couple of them, stack them up, whatever you feel comfortable with. We're going to do another 1/8 of an inch cut along these planks. So you're going to have what looks like this little stick. Okay? So we're going to continue to cut all these evenly. We're looking for a bunch of these little sticks here. Stack 3 or 4 of them up so you don't have to cut one at a time. That'll save you a little time in the long run. They do get slippery though, so be careful. Alright. I think we can get away with not using quite all these, because we're doing a little smaller batch here. And I think that's going to be perfect. So as you can see now we have a bunch of these little sticks. They almost look like French fries. About 1/8 of an inch by 1/8 of an inch. And from here, this is our final cut. This is going to give us our brunoise. From here, we're going to take these little sticks. We're going to line them up evenly. And we are going to chop them. You can line them up against the edge of your knife like this. Edge of your knife down and push them all up against the edge so they're nice and even. And from here, we're going to chop little cubes. This is our brunoise cut. These are our little carrot cubes that are going to go into our shrimp bisque. We'll give you a close-up of these here. As you can see, they're all nice, uniform little cubes. They're going to cook evenly in our soup, and that's exactly what we're looking for. So we're going to go ahead and cut up the rest of these. You can do them decent sized batches. I'm going to split this up into about 4. You don't want to cut too many because your consistency will start to become inconsistent if you're trying to chop them all at once. So I suggest doing small batches, and we're just going to cut these down. And there we go. There's our nice little cubes again. Get those in our pile here. One more. Again, get them all lined up evenly against the edge of your knife. Use that as your tool. Give them in a nice pile. and brunoise our carrots. There we go. We have some nice diced carrots for our soup. Next we're going to move on to the onion. That's going to be a brunoise cut as well, so we're looking for the same size as the carrots. We're looking to get the onion down to the same size. Now we did a demonstration on dicing an onion last week, and this is a the same technique, we're just going to cut them a little smaller. So our onion, we cut it in half, leaving the root end intact again. We're going to use about half of an onion here. We're going to clean this outer inedible skin off of it. Get rid of that. And we're looking for about 1/8 of an inch thickness. So we're going to take our knife again, and leaving the root end intact, we're going to take our knife again, and every 1/8 of an inch we're going to have a slice. 1/8 of an inch slice, slice, all the way through the length of the onion. And you want to make sure you're not cutting through the back part of the onion. You want to leave this section intact here, otherwise it's going to fall apart on you. You see how every 1/8 of an inch I have a slice, but this back part is intact, so that way these slices aren't falling off the onion. It's going to help us dice it up later. So every 1/8 of an inch we're putting a slice, leaving the root intact, leaving the onion intact. And now you can see we have our onion sliced about every 1/8 of an inch. We have these little almost strings coming off of it. We want to go root end intact still, onions hold together. We want to go to the top of the onion here. We want to put a slice through the middle. One more slice through the middle. Now you may have some pieces fall out at this point that are a little big. We can use those for our stock, so we're going to set those to the side with our extra carrots there. And now we're going to brunoise the onion. So as you can see, we have almost like the little sticks we had in carrots. We have the same size little sticks on the onion. We're going to cut those down into our brunoise now. So about every 1/8 of an inch, we're going to make a cut. They're going to come off nice little squares, uniform in size to the carrot, so they both cook evenly. And we're looking for about 3/4 of a cup to a cup of carrots, and about the same amount of onion. Now, of course, you can change that according to your taste. If you like a little more onion, put a little more onion. That's the great thing about cooking, is everyone has a different recipe, and you can cater it to how you'd like it. So we've got about 3/4 of a cup of carrot, maybe a cup of onion here, and we're ready to get cooking. We're going to start with some unsalted butter. We're going to use about a tablespoon to a tablespoon and a half of this. And that's going to go into our pot back here on the stove on a medium heat. We're going to start to melt that down. With that, in go our brunoise vegetables. These are going to be sweat down in that butter. So again, 3/4 of a cup of carrot, brunoise carrot, and about a cup of onion into the pot. And we're going to sweat this down a little bit. We want that butter to melt, and we want it to coat all of our vegetables. Again, we're on a medium heat. We don't want to push it too fast because we don't want to burn it. You see all those nice uniform pieces in there? They're going to cook nice and evenly. Exactly what we're looking for. We're going to let that melt down for a second. We're going to let those vegetables sweat and caramelize and begin to get some flavor. From that point, we are going to start working with our shrimp. So the shrimp is the main seafood component of this dish. It's a shrimp bisque. So here I have for you some deveined, shell off, 31 count per pound. These are 3140 shrimp. So shrimp are measured by the amount per pound. This bag here, there's 31 to 40 shrimp per pound. They have 52 to 60 per pound. There's just, it measures the size of your shrimp, basically what those are. These are 3140s. These are what you would get out at a restaurant normally. A lot of people use these. These are deveined, detailed, they're ready to go. So we're going to start with these shrimp. We have about probably close to a pound of shrimp in total. And these are going to get a rough chop. Now, again, this is a personal preference. Do you like bigger pieces of shrimp? Do you like smaller pieces of shrimp? We're going to do them a little bigger, but be mindful. The smaller you cut them, the faster they'll cook. Shrimp are very easy to overcook. So you want to be mindful. If you're going to cut them real small, they're not going to take long to cook. And we're just going to do a rough chop on these. There's really not going to be a lot of uniformity to it. Make sure they all get cut. Might be some stragglers here or there. Sort through them. We're going to do a little bigger chunks today. We want a good meaty bite of soup. There we go, that looks about right. Now we want to check on our vegetables behind us. Always remember, change your gloves when working with raw meat. So we're going to get rid of these. We're going to check on our soybean vegetables behind us. It looks like they're coming along nicely. We're looking for a little bit of color on these. We're looking for some caramelization. These vegetables have natural sugars in them. And the more we cook them, the more those natural sugars caramelize, the more flavor we're going to have. So we're looking, see our onions are starting to get a little opaque, they're starting to get a little clear. Our carrots are as well. Moving along. We're going to let this go for a little while longer. Now I do have to come to this point here. We have our shrimp stock that we made from scratch. This is these extra pieces of carrots or celery or onion that we use in our normal cooking. It is shrimp shells, fish bones. We cook this down into a stock. We simmer it for about 45 minutes. We let all the flavors kind of coagulate and join together. And we use this in our cooking. So right here we have about 2 quarts of shrimp stock. We may use a little bit more, but we're going to start with this. You want to have that ready?
Can you buy shrimp stock at the store already made?
You can buy shrimp stock at the store. It's going to be a seafood stock. It won't be specifically shrimp stock, which would be fine. You could buy a shrimp base as well. They have it like a bouillon cube. It's a shrimp base. Or they have it in a cup. It's a wet shrimp base. Any of those will work. Make sure your vegetables are burning back here. As you can see in this pot, we're starting to get a little color on the onions. They're starting to get a little brown, a little caramelized around the edge. That's what we're looking for. They're looking great. The carrots as well are starting to get a little color. Again, we're on a medium heat. I turned it up to a medium-high-ish heat to speed things up a little bit. I'm being attentive to this. It's not going to burn, so be mindful. And we're about where we'd like to be. Now from this point, with these caramelized veggies here, we are going to add our tomato paste. This is canned tomato paste. You can buy in the Italian aisle at the store next to the spaghetti sauce. Here's a little tip. If you don't have tomato paste and you'd like to try this recipe, if you have some spaghetti sauce at home, marinara sauce, put it in a pan on a low heat. Let it simmer all the water out of there. It may take you 20 minutes or so. Very low heat, let it simmer all the water, and you'll get a paste consistency like this. Add a little sugar to it, you have tomato paste. So we're going to add a 1/4 cup of this tomato paste to our soup, or to our vegetables here. And we want to brown this tomato paste as well, just like we Lightly sweat the vegetables down and brown them a little bit. We caramelize this tomato paste. It's going to add some nice body to our soup as well. So we're going to toss this in. We're going to make sure the vegetables get coated in the tomato paste. And we're looking for a nice golden color on that tomato paste. So we put it in there. It was red. It's going to work over this heat until we get a nice golden color out of it. Our vegetables are covered here. They're sweat nicely. Our tomato paste is in there. We're going to let that caramelize a little bit. Again, we're at a medium heat now. That's going to caramelize fairly quickly. You don't want to burn it. It looks like we're about where we're at. As you can see, there's a nice golden color in this pan. That's exactly what we're looking for. Now the bottom of this pan, I'm going to have them zoom in here and show it to you. The bottom of this pan, where it's golden, this pan should look this color. Down here it's nice and golden. That's a lot of our flavor. That's a lot of our caramelization. And this next step, we're looking to lift that off the pan and bring that into our dish. This is a French culinary term called fond. It's the caramelization from whatever you may be cooking that's stuck to the pan, and that adds tons of flavor for your dish. So this next step is called a deglaze process, where we deglaze this fond from this pan. That's usually done using an alcohol, because alcohol burns hot. So we want to get this pan nice and hot, ready to go, ready to deglaze. And here with me I have cooking sherry. That's going to be our deglazing ingredient. I also have some brandy as well. That's going to add some flavor to our soup. So the pan's nice and hot. It's ready to be deglazed. You want to be careful when deglazing because alcohol is flammable. So if you'd like to remove it from the heat, and we're going to add about 1/4 of a cup of sherry. See here, it's very hot. That's how we get our deglaze. It pulls that caramelization right off that pan. So I showed you before the pan was gold all the way through the bottom. As you can see, it's a little lighter now. There's still some caramelization here, which will come up over time, but it's lighter now. You can see we pulled that fond up, and that's now in our vegetables. That's going to add great body to our soup, like this. We're going to go ahead and go in with the brandy at this time. So remember, we added 1/4 cup of sherry to deglaze. Now the brandy is for flavor. It will help deglaze a little bit more. And we're going to go in with about 1/4 of a cup of the brandy as well. Now we want these two to reduce by half. Be mindful when you put it back on the heat, you may get a little flame. Oh, it sounds like we have our first call. Be mindful when you put these back on the heat. You may get some flame out of it, burning off the alcohol, so be careful. Just like that. But that'll burn off, no problem, and that'll be no issue. We want those two alcohols to reduce by half. So we put in about 1/2 cup. We're looking for about 1/4 cup of liquid in there, which that's going to happen really fast. We're about there now. At this point, medium heat still, we can go in with our dried ingredients, our seasonings. We're going to add some thyme. We're going to do about 1/2 teaspoon of dried thyme. Here's a tip I can give you. You always put your dried ingredients in your hand, because if too much comes out, you can put some back. If you're doing it over your soup and too much comes out, you can't get it back out of the soup. So always do it in your hand. Make sure you have as much as you like, and then into the soup it goes. We went in with our dried thyme. Next, we're going to go in with a bay leaf, 1 bay leaf, and we want a little bit of parsley in here as well. Now, you can add fresh, you can add dried. It's your preference. Today we're going to use some dried. We're going to let this go at a medium heat for probably less than a minute on our stove here. We're going to caramelize those a little bit as well. Look at that nice color in the pot there. Nice and golden. It's a ton of flavor. A ton of flavor in our base here for our soup. Now we're going to add the shrimp. At this point in time, our veggies are nice and caramelized. They should be fairly soft at this point. You don't want a really hard veggie in your soup. So we cook those down. They're going to be nice and soft. And into our shrimp. Now remember, shrimp cook really fast. We do still have about a half a cup or a quarter of a cup of liquid in here from our sherry and our brandy. And we're going to use that to cook our shrimp in. We can brown these shrimp off a little bit. They're going to start turning a nice red color. We don't want to cook them all the way at this point because we don't want them to overcook. They're still going to be in the soup cooking throughout this process. We're going to give them a little bit of browning here. Toss them around a little bit, make sure they get coated. You can see they're starting to cook. So we're going to go in with our shrimp stock. Here I have about 2 quarts of shrimp stock. And that's going to go into our shrimp bisque. And now we're going to let this simmer for about low heat. We're going to dial it way back. We don't want this to boil. We want this to come to a gradual simmer. We're going to dial it way down to low heat, a simmering heat. We're going to give it a stir. We're going to let those flavors marinate together for about a half hour to 45 minutes. So this will be on your stove. Low heat, lid on, lid off. If you leave your lid off, you're going to evaporate a little bit more of that liquid in there. So you may have to add some more liquid near the end. Lid on, of course, it's going to keep some more of that liquid in there, so you'll be okay. We're going to simmer this for a half hour, low heat, and you'll be good to go then. Our final step is going to be to thicken our soup and add some richness to our soup. We're going to add heavy cream. Now, after our half hour of simmering is when we'll add our heavy cream. We don't want to simmer with the heavy cream because we don't want to cook that over and over and over. So we'll have a little bit. Sal, could you grab me? Oh, never mind. Could you grab me another pot, please? Yes, pot, same size. So we want to get a little bit of our mess cleaned up. Make sure we sanitize. We were using raw ingredients. We want to use sanitize, clean up. We were using raw shrimp, so we want to sanitize our area, make sure everything gets cleaned up. We're going to get ready for the plating aspect of this. Chef Sal has grabbed our simmered soup. We started about a half hour early, and we have some soup that has been simmering here. So we're ready to go. We're ready to add our heavy cream. And to this soup, the shrimp is nice and cooked. The vegetables should be nice and tender. The chef has a spoon here for me. We can check it all out. You see our shrimp are fully cooked, nice and red. Still fluffy, not overcooked, not rubbery. And we have our vegetables. You can pick one of those out, squeeze it. The carrots are nice and tender. The onions are opaque and golden, nice and tender as well. It looks like in that half hour of simmering, we've really developed some good flavors. And into this final product is going to be our heavy cream. We're going to go in with about a half a cup to start out with. Going to give that a stir. There's our shrimp bisque. It looks great. We're going to go ahead and plate it up. Now, traditional garnish for this dish would be maybe something crispy, maybe some breadcrumbs. It's nice served with a warm toasted baguette, so you can kind of soak up some of that soup. put the shrimp on the bread. It's great served with bread. It's a really hearty, filling dish. And the name shrimp bisque originated, or so they say, on the coast of France and Spain. There's the Bay of Biscayne, and they say this is the soup the fishermen would make when they came in with the shrimp they caught to keep them full for the next day. So the origins of this is French.
So this would be a main dish, not necessarily like the soup before the main dish.
This is a cream dish, and cream dishes are cream soup. I'm sorry. Cream soups are known to be a little heavier and a little more filling. So this would be a great main dish. This would keep you full for hours. Chef Sal has so generously set up some cups. Can I have a ladle, please? Serving cups for us to all sample here. We are going to, once we add our heavy cream, there's not a lot of simmering left to do. As you can see, our soup has all come together nicely. The chef is going to bring us a ladle. And we'll get to serving. And we'll let them sample here so they can tell us what they think. Nice big lumps of shrimp in there. Good creamy soup broth. I smell the fragrance from our simmered shrimp stock. This dish has a ton of body and a ton of flavor. It's going to fill you up nicely. There you have it. Shrimp bisque.
Do you want to taste this?
Yeah, if you'd like.
Okay.
We're going to do a taste test here. Make sure you get a little bit of everything. Some nice meaty shrimp, some of those carrots, some onions, a little bit of those seasonings. Oh, it's great.